Admit it. You've done it. You've been driving down the side street or even the freeway when your phone, iPhone, smartphone, or whatever it is that you used to call or text with goes off. You immediately grab it, and even though you're driving in traffic and really shouldn't, It's a dangerous and terrible habit American drivers have developed, says Phil LeBeau, the author of the article, Texting and Driving, Worse Than Drinking and Driving. Leslie Pinston, who is a part of the Beware of Texting While Driving program, explains that the cellular phone has brought with it many conveniences and luxuries. It has definitely made communication so much easier. However, when it comes to road safety, the cellular phone may be considered a great hazard, especially when short message service was introduced. In this age of convenience and modern electronics, many of us multitask behind the wheel, eating breakfast on the way to work, applying makeup on the rearview mirror, and even shaving while at a stoplight. The popularity of mobile devices has had some unintended and even dangerous consequences. We know that the mobile communications are linked to a significant increase in distracting driving, resulting in injury and loss of life. According to the article Texting While Driving in FCC.gov, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported in 2008 that the driver's distraction was a cause of 16% of fatal crashes, 5,800 people killed, and 21% of crashes resulting in injury, 515,000 people wounded. According to the American Automobile Association, nearly 50% of teens admit to texting while driving. Texting while driving endangers life and property, and the current levels of injury and loss are unacceptable. First, I'll explain to you the problem of texting and driving. Secondly, the effects it has, and lastly, the ways to prevent accidents from happening. I will begin by telling you the problems that texting while driving has brought up in society. Michael Austin for CNBC says that if you use your cell phone, chances are that you are aware of text messaging. Brief messages limited to 160 characters that can be sent or received on all modern mobile phones. Texting, also known as SMS, short message service, is on the rise, up from 9.8 billion messages a month in December 2005 to 110.4 billion in December 2009. Undoubtedly, more than a few of those messages are being sent by people driving cars. On average, 1 in 5 drivers admit to texting while driving, and that the rate will only climb as text-crazy teens become licensed drivers. This type of driving distraction creates significant safety risks in 3 ways. According to Gardner and CPCU Journal, first, texting takes at least part of the driver's mental focus away from the task of driving. Second, texting drivers have to take at least one hand off the wheel to send messages and typically to read them. Third, drivers usually receive the contents of their text messages visually, which requires that they take their eyes off the road for a certain period of time. In the article Safe Text, the author Peter Soderman states that in 30 U.S. states, the District of Columbia, it is illegal to text while driving. Each of those laws are enacted in the hope of reducing accidents caused by distracted driving, but they haven't worked. A September study by the Highway Loss Data Institute, a research organization founded by auto insurance industry, examined accident claim data from 4 states that ban texting while driving: California, Louisiana, Minnesota, and Washington. In no case did crash rates decline. In 3 of the 4 states, the crashes rate increased slightly. The report's authors caution that their findings should not be taken as evidence that texting while driving is not dangerous. Instead, they say that anti-texting laws just aren't very effective, in part because they are hard to enforce, and in part because they may encourage drivers to hide their texting by holding their phones lower, thereby pulling their gaze even further from the road. Texting while driving or using our cell phone while driving is definitely dangerous. It's just a loss in haste to reduce this behavior and not reducing crashes. Now that you know a little bit about the problem, let's talk about the effects this has in society. Does text messaging while driving have a big influence in driving abilities? Most people would agree that texting definitely does not help us drive any better. But by constantly texting while at wheel, many individuals access text messaging has a small negative effect on driving skill. I can drive fine while text messaging, says a confident texter. That's the problem, says the psychologist Jamie Hill. All of us feel capable, but none of us really are as capable as we think we are, especially when it comes to multitasking with two attention-demanding tasks. In the same article by Jamie Hill, the researchers found that when texting drivers spend up to approximately 400% less time looking at the road as compared to time looking at the road recorded in non-text messaging conditions. Additionally, text messaging drivers' variability in lane position increased up to approximately 50%, and missed lane changes increased 140%. According to the IV Times, an estimated 16,000 people in the U.S. have died in accidents caused by drivers sending text messages while driving between 2001 and 2008, according to the federal data. The American Journal of Public Health showed deaths occurred due to collisions with roadside objects as the drivers typing on their mobile phones veer off track and into poles, traffic lights, or other items. Many of us have had that mini heart attack when we are texting on our phones and think we're going to hit the car behind from us or in front of us, when there is a stop sign we didn't see, when there is a cop next to us, all because for just 1 second we were distracted and looking down to our phones. Unfortunately, most of these distractions are the cause of accidents, and some of them even fatal. But now, let's look at some potential solutions. The simplest solution to driving while texting is for everyone to just stop texting while driving. But we all know that won't happen until the other means of communications are put in place. As concern over this issue grows, many people will stop texting and driving, but this is a small percentage of people. The webpage IWillNotTextAndDrive.com suggests that the real solution is to provide safer alternatives and let the texting era fade away. Disable texting on phones when the phone is traveling. There is already a BlackBerry app that will shut down the send, receive text, and email service when the phone is traveling at a speed greater than 10 miles per hour. This app uses a phone's GPS system to know when the person is driving at speeds higher than 10 miles per hour. Another one could be synchronize the phone to the vehicle as another way to prevent the use of text messages while driving. The most logical and simplest solutions are some that we already know, but we decide not to follow. Pull off the road if you need to send and receive text messages. Ask the passenger to read them for you and text back for you. Text when sitting in traffic. Wait until you stop at a traffic light or stop sign before you text. Exit the interstate and pull off on the shoulder of the exit ramp. You only lose about 2 minutes worth of driving. Use voice recognition on your phone to call the person trying to get a hold of you. This isn't the best solution, but at least you won't take your eyes off the road. Finally, what I told you was, first, the problem of texting while driving. Second, the effects this brings to society. And third, some of the potential solutions that can prevent accidents from occurring while driving.